This is why I'm kind
Nick's over there. Well, what do you think of Wembley then? I didn't know you went. Oh, I didn't know you went.
You'll be given the division.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Does everyone hear us okay, more or less? Yeah? Right on. I was told that you guys are just going to take some turns asking questions, whatever you feel like asking. Just raise your hand and then just kind of shout it out. We don't have another microphone, so Ben and I will trade off with this one, and then we will go from there. And hopefully it's not too much chaos, but I can try to remember hands going up and kind of get the order down. So yeah, feel free to just go for it. We'll open it up and go from there. All right, thanks, guys. I wish.
Good job.
Actually, how about this? How about Levin introduces himself, since he is the new vice chair here at the club, and that might trigger some questions, or people can get less shy about it.
Awesome. First, thanks for coming out Monday night. Appreciate it. It's a great showing. Thanks for everybody else who was here today for the open training session, a little double dipping here at the Broadfield Stadium. My name is Ben Levin. I'm the new vice chairman here. I've been a part of WAGMI since the early days, and was lucky enough to serve on the board for the last couple years before the opportunity to come and join the club on a day-to-day basis arose for me. A lot of you are familiar looking to me. I've seen you around because I've been able to spend a lot of time in England over the last year. My girlfriend moved to London last March, so I was able to spend a lot of the last season around the club. I've fallen in love with the club. I've fallen in love with the vision that we have. And I'm looking forward to getting to know more of you throughout this season and continuing to push the club forward on this journey and enjoy this League One experience that we hope to make more of a continual yearly journey. And looking forward to responding to questions tonight throughout the season.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
How much does the Sky EFL deal work for us as a club? Because we saw that the foundation has been given a grant. I just wondered how much the deal will work.
The deal as a whole to the EFL, or by league, or by club?
How much do we get?
How much do we get?
Ben might know the exact number, and I'm actually unsure if we're even allowed to say the exact number. I just know that it's about 800 to 900,000 more in League One than League Two. And Ben probably wants to correct me.
We don't have an exact figure of what it breaks down to for us because of the way the deal is spread out across all of the clubs and all of the leagues. But the jump to League One plus the TV deal is an extra £800,000. From a non-financial standpoint, it means that we're on live television 20 times at least. What that means for us actually is from now until January 1st, we're on live television 7 times at home and 3 times on the road. So it's a lot of exposure for the club. It's a lot of exposure for EFL football overall. What's really exciting for me is that my friends in the US can watch it also, because the EFL just signed a deal with CBS Sports. So our matches will be shown, a couple of our matches will be shown in the US as well. But overall, it's a huge step forward for the EFL, and we benefit. We do benefit as well. Just the exact numbers aren't really broken down by TV and other resources that come down to us.
Thank you.
Our online ticket system is very old, and for example, I occasionally go to Horsham, which is 4 leagues below, and their system is considerably better than 4 leagues. Are we looking to replace it?
Sam, was this one of the planted questions? If so, appreciate it. We are in the process of looking at digital ticketing system. We've evaluated 4 so far. We're pretty close to making a decision on one that will not only make everybody in this room's life easier in terms of buying tickets, but also Katie's life downstairs in managing the ticketing process much easier. So yeah, it's an important thing to get right, and we hope to have it in place before Christmas, potentially much before, but we'll have to see how the implementation process goes.
Could you tell us what your strategy is for, say, the next 5 years?
Is that a club-wide strategy, a football strategy?
Yeah,
We could be here for hours.
both on the playing side and the stadium.
Yeah, sure. So I'll take a crack at it, and then maybe Preston can correct. So I think the first number one important thing for us to hit on over the next 5 years is to become a stable League One club that can compete on the pitch and can stay up and ultimately think about the next step. On the off-field side of things, right now our commercial operation is sort of on par with the National League club, maybe even Horsham, as we just discussed. And there's a lot of leveling up that we need to do off the field in terms of digital ticketing, in terms of social media outreach, to broaden our fan base, to build up the club in a lot of ways. What that will also allow us to do is hopefully provide a foundation that we can move on a stadium in a way that will allow us to invest. Right now, as a tenant, we're not necessarily incentivized to make certain improvements, but having a stadium that we can invest in and build to our specifications and would be great. Having a permanent training ground would be great. You think longer term, this is a really rich catchment area between basically Brighton and Crystal Palace. What could an academy be here? So the plan is to build a foundation, starting with stable League One football, bringing up the financial side of things to be much closer to, if not actually break even, to provide a foundation to invest on top of and build a bigger club.
Ben nailed it. I honestly might not have to do these anymore. I thought that was really good. On the playing front, more specifically, I think I referenced this on the podcast that I did a week ago now maybe. But part of being sustainable is obviously on the pitch, and so we have to be realistic. We obviously aren't going to say we're going to be promoted to the championship in 2 years. That wouldn't be very realistic. But so I think some of the numbers, like the average wage bill for players in League One last year was $5.6 million. So that's what we're competing against, and ours isn't close to that number. So we have to do as good of a job as we did last year at a higher level to try to stay up and sustain on the pitch, where everything else then can come into play, and combined we can do something special for the community and the town. I just wanted to add that.
You had a question?
You had one earlier, right
I was
before.
going to say, are you going to do a program this season? Because like a lot of the
Ooh.
old, the old school like a program to read and that. And
There is
if you're
something in the works that is sort of like a program. Ben, you're just so good at this.
Here's a non-writer.
No.
So the way the program had evolved was that it became financially unviable doing it week in, week out. We think we have a model now that we can bring back sort of a monthly fan magazine or fanzine that will provide pretty good in-depth coverage and interesting articles and features and highlight.
If it's got the fixtures and the appearances and a few photographs and stuff, will you have that yet?
Yeah, I think so. We've been talking about maybe having a kids section in the back with some type of crossword type thing. So we're working on that. Our plan is to have something by the end of the month. We're gonna trial a monthly magazine, a name to be determined.
You'll buy on a match day, yeah?
And hopefully before, and we'll keep it on sale throughout because it'll be monthly. It won't just be good for 1 week.
Okay.
And we're gonna trial it, and we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we can do it all season.
Okay, thank you.
When will the away and third kits be able to be pre-ordered?
Sorry, could you speak up? Didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's fine. He was just asking about the away and third kits and when they can be pre-ordered specifically. Harry and Tom might have a better idea, but I know a lot of our merchandise arrives Wednesday or Thursday this week is the due date. And then from there, we'll start putting stuff into the shop and then adding more to the club shop online. So I don't know if you guys have a window in your head that you guys want to throw out to give people an idea, or if I should wait on that, but.
That was fun.
Okay. Well, as soon as possible is the answer, and it does arrive this week, and then from there we can make some decisions. You shouldn't have to wait too long, but we'll get it there, yeah. You had a question earlier?
Well, I've got two based on what you've just said as well.
Sure.
The first one is to build on what you told us in the podcast about the discussions with the local authority about the possibility of purchasing the stadium. And I guess, in the long term, we'd all want to know if that is likely. And if it's likely, where does that take us in owning the stadium? Because I think you highlighted before about all the works that needs to be done, the sewerage problem, the drainage, everything around.
There's a lot more than that too, but
There's a bit of land out there, but there's seemingly maybe not enough to actually build and increase the size of the stadium. Do you have a size of stadium in mind?
All right, so if everyone didn't hear very well, because he's near the front, he was just asking about the likelihood of a new stadium and everything else. No, it's fine, I'll just give a little recap. I couldn't price it for you, or I couldn't give you like a likelihood that we're going to get the stadium or not. We have had discussions ongoing for over a year with the council trying to get something sorted. We're a lot closer than we've ever been as far as getting, valuations and trying to decide what the best next steps are, and it's just a slow process because that's how it goes with these types of things. But then to the rest of your question, from there, can we invest in the stadium, a brand new East Stand, other options, just fixing up like 16 or 17 items that need fixing, or like this hospitality suite is one we're considering investing in this year anyways, just because we think it could use an upgrade and it would be beneficial for everybody at the club, and obviously those that are here more frequently for events, even not on match days. So there's so much possibility, and it starts with, obviously, for the majority of it, getting a deal done. So I couldn't tell you if it's likely, less likely. It's something we're pushing for constantly, and I think eventually we can get something done, but I couldn't really give you a time frame either.
In your visions that you have for this club and the future, do you have a size of stadium in mind, sort of 10, 12,000 perhaps?
I mean, the truth is I think you actually need a 10,000 person minimum to play a level up from here. So that seems like a good goal for a rebuild of some sort or a renovation of some sort. And from there, obviously, if we can do more for a price that makes sense, then we'd consider it. But that would probably be our first goal, from where we're at now, almost 6,000 to that.
And the second half of the question was to build on what you were talking about with the promotion of the football club. The football club is a great local resource, there's no doubt about that, but the visibility of the football club, particularly in the town centre, is zero. You've got a great deal of merchandise coming on with 3 excellent football kits for this season, a lot of good training merch coming out as well, and there'll be some other stuff. But can we not, or do you have a vision for maybe having some permanent or regular pop-up in the Mall or in the town centre to sell this stuff, to make people more aware of Crawley Town Football Club?
Yeah, we talked about that today, but yeah, go ahead.
So I think you've actually highlighted one of our key problems that we need to overcome as a club is awareness overall. So it gets to your question about stadium size, right? You see the plans for Old Trafford, the new Trafford, right? Wouldn't it be great?
I see a lot of stuff online, particularly in Northern Europe, actually, around Norway, Sweden, Denmark. A lot of stuff there, and their stadiums, because of their catchment, obviously, is round about between 8 and 13, 14,000, and they're decent, fully enclosed stadia. They really are, with parking facilities or hotel facilities or whatever as the locale demand. So they can, it seems to me, be chucked up pretty quickly and pretty expertly, and you've almost got instant football stadium.
Right. So we're projecting about 4,000 fans a game, a match this year. That includes 1,000 away fans. Our capacity is about 6,000. So what you were talking about before about awareness is a huge item for us to address, because we need to have 7,000, 8,000 people who want to come before we can justify a 10,000 seat stadium. That would be the dream. But we need to expand our awareness into Town Center, into Manor Royal, into these large areas with potential fans, into communities that we haven't been in before, so that we can not only have a better atmosphere that teams don't want to come play in because they know that Crawley fans are going to be packing the stadium and it's going to be raucous, but also so that ticket sales go up and kit sales go up, and we can invest that in the squad, and we can invest that in the stadium, etc. So there are steps, the foundation to build in order to set the right level that we can have a 10,000 seat stadium. But pop-up shops, that we were talking about that today, where would be a great place? We're open for suggestions.
Gatwick Airport.
Yep.
Gatwick Airport, the Mall and Crawley.
Yeah.
It's not just Crawley. I mean, you can go to the local towns, Horsham, Dorking, anywhere that's relatively easy access by public transport, for example. I mean, dare I say it, get down the south coast, but you don't want to go to East Sussex because that's the bloody enemy. But we can go to Worthing, we can go to Shoreham, places like that, But there's plenty of scope for that, to take a pop-up shop down to these towns and just do something on a market day, for
Right.
example.
Right, and it's not just the kit sales, but it's also
It's
can we
merchandise.
advertise? Can we have marketing
Yeah.
signs?
Yeah.
Can we raise awareness
Yeah.
of the club so that
Yeah.
the dream of having a 10,000-12,000 seat stadium isn't a dream, but it's needed,
Yeah,
and that's the direction we need to go.
sure. Yeah, sure.
I was going to make a joke about building an Old Trafford down here with 100,000 seats, for two Red Devils, but we're not quite
Trust
there
me,
yet.
that ain't even going to be built in Manchester, mate. Not worried.
Yeah, hi. Ben, and Preston as well. So, talking about stadium capacity, and we're saying at the moment it's 6,000, but our understanding is that it's downgraded by the Football League to 5,500 something or whatever, due to the lack of turnstiles on the terrace at the end. Is there any plans and another thing as well, on match days when it's a sellout, there's big queues to get into those turnstiles. Invariably you get people missing the game like 10, 15 minutes, been really big queues there. Is there any plans to increase the turnstile capacity at the end there?
I would say there's a plan to try to figure out a plan, to study it, to see what we can do that's cost effective in a way that's going to make everybody's lives easier, but also not limit us in other ways. I would say get to Red's Bar early. Have your pint 15 minutes earlier.
A lot of people do that. I mean, we always said that me and all the friends, we always get there early and have a few drinks. But even having said that, there's a lot of people still who, on match days, you get massive queues at those turnstiles because there's only literally 2 turnstiles to go in.
Right.
So really could be doing with double to 4 turnstiles maybe.
I think the truth is, if we own the grounds, there's probably a legitimately realistic way to increase the size of the turnstiles or add another one or do that. But do we want to put a portion of our budget and funding towards that right away now, relative to other things when we don't own the stadium or the grounds yet? That's something we're considering in the background and trying to weigh the options. But if we did own the property, then that's something that makes a ton of sense because it makes the fan experience much better and it increases the value of the stadium itself and the grounds and the club and everything. So that's kind of, I think, the way I would look at it in the background, kind of overall.
Well, I'm guessing also if you're investigating the new ticketing arrangements with the barcode red devices, maybe consider handheld devices to open up big gates perhaps for season ticket holders and then, that kind of deal. So you can separate the long queues somewhat.
And it should be more efficient in some ways anyways too.
Yeah, I think that's an important point when we're talking about building the fan base, that to make it easier then for families to bring their kids to a game. They don't want to be queuing up for half an hour outside the ground and miss the start. They won't come again. So I think even if it is a question of a choice of investment, that would be something to look at that's worth doing in the long term.
It's a good point. Yeah, go ahead.
With the away end, I understand there's problem with drainage. You're looking at putting a sort of away fan zone there. But is it possible to put a beer hut there just to sell beer to the away fans at half time, to the temporary thing? Because obviously we're going to get a lot more away fans who want beer at half time, and that's an easy sell to the club.
I think
Money.
for those that aren't aware, I think to give you guys some context, the average away support was like 200 and something last season in League 2, and it's going to be upwards of 1,000 or even more this season in League 1, so it's like quite a big jump. We even discussed today like putting some food trucks or potentially it's a beer something or other in the away section. The main problem, the away car park, the main problem would be that certain games, dependent on weather, and if there's some flooding or puddles or surfacing, like we can't do that, but obviously if weather is good, we can try to create plans where we can at least separate some of the away supporters away from the home so that queues are faster and everything's just more efficient in general. So that is something we're discussing, and makes a ton of sense when we're going to have 4 times the away supporters visiting on match days.
Yeah, when you first arrived, the NFT side of things was a massive part of your strategy to sort of fund the club and draw fans in, etc. I didn't understand it then, I don't understand it now, if I'm perfectly honest, but reading between the lines in my sort of through my ignorant eyes, it seems to have been a bit of a failure. I don't know if that's fair or not, but have you sort of put that to the side a little bit now and are moving more towards an orthodox sort of way of funding the club and running the club, or that's the important part of your strategy in the future?
No, you're right. Last year, and I think the last fans forum we did was in February or something around that time. And the person sitting right in front of you asked me questions about NFTs. Yusuf did, and the truth is, we thought it was extremely important last year. Actually, I'll back up a little bit and try to give you some context as to why we even tried the NFT thing in the first place. The ability to potentially have multiple fans, thousands of fans, attaching themselves from anywhere in the world to a local English football club and rooting along and trying to, engage and have a team that they can go watch on, in America every Saturday morning or whatever it may be. That it's really hard for the local club to get thousands of extra fans. Wrexham did it, right? Thanks to Ryan Reynolds and the documentary and everything they've done. And they have more money than anyone in League 2 or National League the last few years, and arguably League 1 even still this year. So part of the strategy was if we can bring more fans to a club, then we'll try to monetize that in a way that benefits the club and our spending ability, and maybe this is a club that doesn't lose money every year anymore. It's like that was the actual hope. Like you said, it didn't work, right? It failed. Totally fair comment. Last year, based on the way year 1 went, we learned that we can't have international fans that want to engage unless the local fan is happy and excited and motivated to root for their team as well and support the club. And so last year, our entire priority was focusing on football and staying pretty quiet and just letting our decision-making with recruitment last summer and everything just play itself out. And so that was priority 1, is to get the local fan back on board the best we could, or the best we thought we knew how. Can we eventually find a strategy that incorporates some of the international fans or NFT holders? Of course, but it's a really delicate balance to try to not distract the local, on the pitch stuff, off the pitch, and everything else with the fans here, while trying to do something unique on the outside. And so that's the truthful answer. And to answer Yusuf's next question, which he probably was going to raise his hand and ask, but we met with him actually last week, and he is really committed to helping us find strategies that can benefit the club, potentially with some of these NFT holders or fans internationally, but we're not going to rush into anything. He has some people kind of as a subcommittee that want to give us some ideas that we can consider and then use those to assess before we make any decisions. But it'll be a slower process, just because I think more than anything we want to continue to focus on what we have here and build off of that. After last season's success, I think that's pretty important. So that's kind of where we're at there with that.
Are there any plans to expand the club shop? This is quite a small, tight space.
So the question was about potentially expanding the club shop. Another item we talked about today. I have been all over the world visiting football clubs, and I go right to the club shop. And ours doesn't quite compare to some of the ones I've seen. And I know it may never in some ways, but we can also make it a great experience where folks who come in to buy a ticket for game day want to browse and they get to try something on in a comfortable setting and they don't feel like they're a part of a huge queue, and it's a priority for me. It's a priority for us. What that looks like remains to be seen. When we went to Wilton a couple weeks ago, they had a little porta cabin that was set up. I've inquired about the pricing on that. Will it make sense based on the potential new sales that we could generate from having that space to pay for it? I don't know yet. Are there ways to make the office space in there more accommodating for merchandise? Potentially. But I would love if everyone could come in and have a great shopping experience and get to try on some of the great stuff, and it's something we're definitely talking about. And I love the pink top. I'm gonna miss seeing the pink around. I think it was very distinctive. It was very us. Keep rocking it, but also come buy the new stuff.
Actually, I had a question. I wasn't asking actually. So, for short term, we're predicted to lose 25 times this season. So my question would be, what are the plans to engage with the fans and keep the team happy if our morale is going to be expectedly going to be low this season, considering the rivaling ones of Birmingham, Bolton, and so on and so forth?
I'm going to pass this to Preston in a second, but I'm going to share my perspective. I'm excited that we're in League One. I'm excited to play these big clubs. I'm excited to go there. I'm excited to host them. I'm excited to be the underdog, and I'm excited for every point that we earn. And it should be a fun season regardless of how tough it might end up being. We should enjoy it. And you know what happens if we go back down? We go win League 2 next year. And we need to have that mindset that this is not doom and gloom. It's a fun experience that we get to have, and if we survive, then it's great, and I expect that we do. That's my goal, my dream. Preston might have a different perspective, or he's more involved on the football side, but I think we need to be engaged with everybody the same way we would be if we were winning, because the club business doesn't stop. The journey we're on over the long term doesn't stop, and I hope we can enjoy this journey even if we have ups and downs, and sometimes the downs make the whole thing sweeter. So my plan is to keep smiling through it and to be here and to engage with you all even if times are tough, but I'm hoping and planning that they're not going to be.
I appreciate his positivity because I need it sometimes. I am going to, there was one thing in my mind that I wanted to make sure I said tonight, whether someone asked it directly or not, because I've had a lot of questions about it, even outside of the podcast and everything else. So this will be a roundabout response, but it's from the bottom of my heart, and it does answer Yusuf's question, more or less. So a lot of people have asked why I stepped away, if you're going to come back, and like what happened there. And I spoke a little bit to it on the podcast, but ultimately for me and my family and others, those 2.5 years were really exhausting. It was a really tough process. We had a lot of lows the first year, and we had the greatest highs of all time last year. And I thought, we had said we're going to get promoted in 2 years. That was our goal. We achieved it. I needed a break. I needed to commit to my family in some ways. And I thought, I could kind of just ride off into the sunset. We said we'd get promoted in 2 years. Everyone said we didn't know what we were doing. And considering how bad year one was, like, holy crap, like we did it, I'm out of here. Like, I truthfully, selfishly, part of me wanted that, like, mic drop moment. I really did. And then I was away for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And the truth is, that's kind of like, it's a pretty crappy move at the end of the day. Like, that's not who I am. And so I was sitting there back at home in California, and we were seeing the transitions happening from trying to be a League 2 club to League 1. And I'll just say, League 1 is going to be really, really hard for a lot of reasons. And I sat there thinking, I don't know if I'll be able to live with myself if I don't give my heart and full effort this season in keeping this club up and trying to up the professionalism and infrastructure here to try to be League 1 level at a sustainable rate, both on and off the pitch. And Ben stepped up and wanted to help out from the get-go. He's more local now as well. And, I thought it was my duty to you guys, to the club, and to our ownership group that I make sure we give this our absolute best chance this year. And so that's my goal. And I hope that means, you know, maybe we're mid-table and we surprise some people and not, you know, going down. I think the Opta prediction was like 45.5% of the time or something that came out recently. So I can tell you from, again, the bottom of my heart, I'm going to give my max effort and give us the best chance to stay up and to improve things here on the ground. And that's why I came back, because if I didn't do that and I saw things go a different direction, I wouldn't have been able to survive that in my head, to be completely honest. So, and to those that kept asking, by the way, I wanted to clear this up too, because it meant a lot to me. There was a lot of speculation that it had to do with my health concerns from earlier. And so anyone that asked me about that or have checked in, that means a lot. I appreciate it. There's been a few ups and downs throughout, but the last few scans and checkups I've had are all clear and clean, which is really positive, and I wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case. So thank you to everyone that's reached out about that too. I think that was obviously just means a lot to me. So hopefully that answers everyone's question. I wasn't trying to get a round of applause, but the truth is, I think our morale then, to Yusuf's question directly, is one where we are all just going to give our best effort, and then to Ben's point, like, let's try to make this as positive as possible. And the truth is then, from you guys, we love your feedback. If we go on a losing streak and we lose 3 games in a row on the bounce, like what are things we can do to keep people's perspective healthy and obviously keep things positive and keep the energy high? And so that's where I think the fan support plays a big role.
Will we see any new faces before Saturday, and is there any position that we're sort of targeted by now?
Preston, just to add to that,
Sure.
I saw you at Ebbsfleet Saturday, I was chatting to you.
Yeah, I remember. We took a picture.
You said that we got a picture, that's right. And you said that we were looking at an attacker, and there's been a rumour online, or somebody's posted something to say that we're looking at Jake Young from Bradford City. Is there any truth in that, or is it just a rumour?
I think it's just a rumor. But there is someone coming by tomorrow that should hopefully get through it. Obviously nothing's guaranteed because they have to go through some medical processes and a few other things. A position in it's attacking player. That was the one I was referencing. Not the one that plays for the other team that scored 4 goals against us in 20 minutes when they played us this week. Although if he scores 4 goals every 20 minutes, maybe we should be bringing him.
Talking about Ebbsfleet, with the club website, there was no preview on the Crawley website. As yet, when I left home, there was no report of the game. So I actually looked on the Ebbsfleet website to get a preview of the game and report. We're looking at improving the website communication. For example, Evans Smith is still on there as chairman, and if you go onto the team page, there's nobody there at all.
Yeah, I think on Transfer Market, I'm 53 years old, so mistakes have been made across multiple platforms. To be honest, Sam would be the best person to answer this question. I know we did the actual content and it got posted to social platforms that maybe just didn't get uploaded to our website, or maybe the Wi-Fi went out or something, or maybe there's a better reason. You want to speak to it?
So the new website has been rushed from the EFL. They've sent in a new system. They've decided to change it in July. It's now August, so it's been very rushed. Obviously, we had lots of pages on the old website. It's just myself in that department, so we're still in the process of moving lots of the pages over. So onto the team one, we took all the headshots upstairs here today of all the players in the new home shirts. They'll be uploaded probably tomorrow, latest on Wednesday. And yeah, the other answer is it's just taken a lot of time to get the actual big bits of information from the old website over, because you'd like to keep it seamless of all the pages transitioning. It was not. So they're still transitioning manually, which obviously added all the other things we have to do, signings, obviously pre-season content and stuff. It's just so it's unfortunately taken a little bit of a sort of backseat, if you would. Yeah, it should all be updated soon, and then as the season goes on, we'll be adding more. But yeah, so just long story short, is there's
Thanks, Sam. To add to that, in general, I'm actually really excited to work with Sam a little bit more on the social and content side, because that's another important piece of the awareness factor, and how do we drive more eyes to the club as a whole, whether it's locally or not. And one of the things, I'm not a professional at that, but I have learned a few things in my previous life that I think we can take along with building our kind of brand identity or club identity on how we want to attract new fans. And so Sam and I and Ben included, and others in the office staff are kind of full on just trying to mold our strategy and how we can make that content most readily available and the most positive and efficient as it can be. And so we're going to keep drilling on that and hopefully get it to another level this season to kind of, again, we're trying to raise the bar at every piece of it, not just on the pitch at League One, not just operationally with finances or budgets or commercial, but like social media, everything kind of needs to up the game. So anyway, that's another one that we're going to focus on too.
You mentioned on the podcast about using Red's Bar a bit more on non-match days. Have you got any more plans for that?
Specifically to speak to as far as this is on this day, no. I was speaking to Rona yesterday. Hi, Rona. You paying attention? No? She's on her phone, I think. She's probably looking at the diary. Anyway, I was talking to her about days that were open in September to start fitting some of these ideas in, and then when they're scheduled or booked, we'll post them or invite those that I think I referenced that dinner idea. I really want to do that at least once and see how awful it is and then go from there, but there's other ideas we have in the mix too, but nothing is officially booked yet, and as soon as it is, we'll let everyone know.
Do you have suggestions for events or things that will draw people in midweek?
Not specifically. I think it's a great resource that could be used more as a sort of a social club, as I say, away from match days. It'd be nice to be open a bit longer on match day, but away from match days, maybe use it to get families in with family days or kids events or read a player or signing sessions. I don't know, there's 100 ideas, but just something to get local people used to coming up to the ground and wanting to come up to the club.
Yeah, it's something we're working on, and we want to figure out the right balance of having private events which have a fixed revenue income stream versus keeping it open, which may not break even, and then balancing the combination of those two with fun events, whether that's watching darts, watching European football on Tuesday, Wednesdays, what have you. So we'll try to take as much input from all of you as we can about ideas that would bring you to Reds on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night.
In relation to that, obviously, Reds does show early match day to your private functions. You understand the reasoning, albeit in frustration. But with Sky telling you kick off at half 2, at 5:30, what happens on 5:30 kick-off on coming Saturday? Is there a wedding due in there in the evening? Will we be kicked out before kick-off? What's the score with those situations? What's the plan for those situations?
I don't think there's a wedding, but
As an example.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know what the event schedule looks like for this weekend. We'll be planning that more closely in coordination with Verona this year, so that we'll avoid any of those situations. But for now, it's a bit of let's manage with how we've been working on it and figure out how to improve as we go. But we'd love to keep the bar open longer afterwards.
No, I think another aspect of Preston on Saturday, well, again, about obviously it is busy with more fans coming to be from busy before kick-off. And certainly in previous seasons, used to be it's a bottle bar, plastic bottles, pop the lid off, bang beer out. That's a revenue source for you. And unfortunately, because the bar's small and the normal people come, you can't get a drink for the money. It's difficult to get a drink and it's frustrating for people. So even if you use the National Turf pitch or the area sort of next to that, sort of where the sport cabins are, people bang like bottles of beer, plastic bottles of beer, take the lid off, card only, no change, no farting about. Just bang it out, you'll make more money and the fans will be happier, they'll be more content, I think more content around the room as well.
Yeah, there's that one station in the back to the back right in Reds. It is like beer only in cans and quick service.
I think you need more of that. I think you need more outlets. I know certainly the fan zone was cans originally only, then that's branched in there now, so that's slower as a consequence of that as well. I think this is a can or bottle outlet and just dish them out because it is a frustration. I'll be honest, I bring cans with me in now because I can't get served. It's murder. And I don't want to be doing that. I told Preston on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'd quite happily buy my beer from you, but if I can't get a drink, then I'll do what I have to do. So for your benefit and everybody else's, I think it would be a better scenario if you had more outlets.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We'll look into that, and also the balance of cash versus card lines. Hopefully we can move to cash-only lines for a couple, and then everybody else will be card and can move through quickly. So I appreciate that suggestion.
Just go back to the stadium. So in your talks with the council, what sort of kind of area have you been talking about actually acquiring? Is it obviously the stadium plus the car park plus the 3G?
Yeah.
And if need be, if you needed to go outwards easterly, have they given you kind of like a, obviously there's trees there, you've got the motorway, is that something that they're happy for us to do?
So just to clarify a bit, we've had conversations with Borough Council about the idea. We have not talked about official boundaries or what land is up for debate. Some of the surveying that's been done has been basically on this side, just around the stadium, not even on the turf and on the side of the K2. But those levels of discussions we're hoping to get into in the next couple months is getting more practical on terms, price, the lot itself. But we're not quite there yet.
I don't know if you read, but recently Maidenhead got a £4 million bonus because they've got a seller and clause in one of their players who subsequently sold for 40 million. Kelman, yeah. Obviously, we've sold a few players recently, like Loris. Have we put in similar sort of seller clauses to protect us?
So for some context, if you didn't listen to the podcast, I'll say what I can say. The state and perception of Crawley Town a year ago from today was remarkably lower than it is today for obvious reasons. It made it a little more difficult to recruit for obvious reasons. And so some of the consolations or things that we needed to agree to get the players we wanted in were some of those clauses where if another club out there met that buyout fee, then it was an unavoidable deal that we had to let the player go play. And they were getting offered, in some cases 4 to 6 times more money to go play somewhere else. So it was a win for the player, they earned it. Coaching staff did an amazing job developing them and integrating them into the squad. But obviously at this point, we're in a much better position, of power relative to our budget and revenue model. But in theory, we're not gonna be making deals like that going forward. And then on the flip side, can we have some protections for the other way? Of course, we're going to be as smart and efficient as possible with those. But we were pretty strapped last summer in convincing players we thought were good enough to come play for us. That's the ultimate truth. Steve, did you have one? Happy birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday. 69th year of watching the race.
Not bad.
Have you got an update on the museum idea?
Which one? We've talked about a few museum ideas, I believe. And also, if we're talking about the magazine, I think Steve volunteered to write for the issue.
There's about 4 or 5 people that will write for that.
That's great.
We had an exhibition at the Crawley Museum last season, which was probably a year too early. We talked about last year. But it was thought then that we shouldn't put it all away. We should just exhibit it. And I've talked to Tom. We talked about a porter cabin, and we talked about waiting for the 3G pitch to be updated or something. But I just wanted to know whether any talks have gone on that we knew what size the porter cabin would be, because we need to buy furniture to go into it.
It's not still up currently, right? They took it down in the museum, the one in town center.
Yeah, I've got it in my house.
So it's literally just sitting at your house to set up. Do we know what size is needed, Tom, or are we not really dug into the details of? No. I think it's something we can figure out, Steve. Let's talk more directly about it, but I think there's a solution there, and Ben wanted to say something.
So this club is over 125 years old. That's amazing, and it should be celebrated and cherished. And we should find a way to display it, whether it's bits and pieces around areas like this that are more open, or there are entrances downstairs, whether it should all be in one place. We'll work through that, but that history has got to be preserved, and all your efforts should be celebrated and should be shared with generations, because that's the fabric of this club. So we'll find a good solution for it.
Another question, it's sort of cosmetic but sort of vulnerable. Has there been any conversation or plan for a Sir Bruce Winfield statue?
Could you repeat it? Oh, a Bruce Winfield statue.
Yeah.
Built out of what material?
Any conversation, any plan? Has that been explored?
This is the first I've heard of it, so now we're in discussions about it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll ask our historian about it, and whether or not there should be others as well included or something. But no, we haven't. Not that I'm aware of.
It's on the basis of a visiting supporter coming into the grounds and noticing that actually something that was missing, and he felt, or they felt, that a statue, a monument or something outside the main stand was missing. You know, you go to other football clubs, there's the top player, the top management, there may even be a monument to the owners of the stadium. But in this case there was nothing, and he felt that was missing. So on the back of that, there's been internet calls for maybe what the gentleman's talking about.
I have heard about this before. Ben just hadn't. A lot of people have asked about it and recommended it. From what I gather, it's basically an ownership decision, and then do we want to spend to get a statue made and put it out there or not? And so if it's something that means a lot to you guys, I can obviously consider it more specifically and truthfully before we've kind of heard it and just be like, oh yeah, that might be cool, and then we never really planned around it or found out what it would cost or what material are we making it out of. But we could dig into that and then kind of present it, talk to the CTSA. Maybe they have some ideas too on how we can go about that. So yeah, if you want, I can investigate that further for sure. Go ahead.
We all enjoyed a trip to Wembley. I think there were 17,000 people there. If they all turn up on Saturday, we're in trouble.
Yes.
My question is, those 17,000 people bought their tickets one way or another through this club. Did we get information from those people that bought those tickets? Because there is your fan base, whether they be once a week, once a month, or even once a year at Wembley. They put themselves out to buy the tickets, to buy the train tickets, to queue up and have a fantastic day watching Crawley. What have we done since then? Have we put an advert in the local paper saying, did you go to Wembley to support Crawley? If you did, email me now and I will send you a reduced or free ticket for the next game as a thank you for turning up. Did we do any of that?
My understanding is that getting the information back from the ticket provider has been not as smooth as we would have hoped. And as soon as we get access, we will be in touch with everybody as best we can. And I think your ideas are spot on and exactly what we need to be doing. So thank you for raising it.
The only way this club is going to expand the fan base is doing things like that get people into the club. And as I say, at the moment we've only got accommodation for 6,000, so those other 11,000 on Saturday will be unlucky.
That's right. And we are at record highs for season tickets this year, which is wonderful, and attribute some of that to folks who came to Wembley and that 17,000. So we have seen an uptick, and you're exactly right. We've got to go after those folks who maybe made it to Wembley but don't come down here for one reason or another. So, yeah.
On the season tickets, do you have a final figure how many we sold?
The last I saw, we were in the mid-1700s. Up. Sam is saying up.
Literally just about over 1,900.
1,900. How about that? I assume a lot of you are season ticket holders. If you have friends who are not, let's get to 2,000.
There was the one behind you.
Yes,
Go first. Oh, you're good. Sorry, there was one in front of you.
Yeah, it's probably outside your direct responsibility, but are you able to do anything about the access to the ground through the tunnels? Because the footway tunnels, because they're disgusting with paint falling off. It's really a bad impression as you walk up to the ground. And the back of the away stand build fence, you know.
The ones you're referencing just right out here, like if I was to walk to
tunnels.
Tesco Express, like that, okay. We just did that today. I wasn't really paying attention to the paint, we should have. It was literally 2 hours ago.
I was paying attention to the murals. They're actually pretty attractive, but yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question. Tom, who's been on the ground here a while, might know the city council member that we would try to work something out to get that sorted. And maybe there's some sort of volunteer to paint them that we could find, you know. But I don't have much of an answer for you yet on that, but I can look into it.
What about the back of the stand?
Back there?
The back of the away.
Or the away stand specifically?
Roll paint coming off.
Yep, that's one we can look at too. There was one in front of you first, and then I'll go to you. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, right, okay, always I saw a picture of Jeremy Kelly appear on the screen there, which sort of triggered my question. I think it's fair to say he's been a resounding success. With your obvious links to America, is that something that you, scouting players from there, is something that you're actively pursuing to do and maybe expand upon? And if so, I guess that would be one way to maybe get more foreign fans interested. If they got their countrymen playing league football, it could be a trigger to sort of promote what we tried to do before.
Definitely. Yeah, Jeremy's been great. Obviously, we re-signed him again this summer for a longer term. He's loved it here, loves you guys. Let me think about how I want to answer this. The truth is, we've been trying to recruit from over there in feasible ways. Obviously, we have to probably have some sort of connection to the UK. Are they a citizen? Maybe they were born here. Maybe they've been in America temporarily. Like, we have to dig into those things. But there was actually a player that flew out that we thought we were signing from another club in America that fell through once he got here. That's probably about as much as I can say. But the truth is, it was a striker, it was a forward. And the truth is, we're exhausting those options because the way we recruit with our data and the way that Scott likes to play and his coaching staff develops these players, with our budget relative to a lot of League One clubs, we need to find every possible advantage we can find, whether it's America or another country outside of the UK, not even America alone. So yeah, can we use that to leverage our awareness? For sure. And on top of it, it gives us, I think, a better chance to have success on the pitch too. So that's not something we're just saying, oh great, Jeremy worked out. We've really tried to dive in even deeper in some of these other countries and the possibilities.
You sort of mentioned in the question before, volunteering come up, and so I volunteer on match days to have the ground staff and that, and it gives them the big assistance that they need. But it took me back to, because I'm sad, I watched Wembley back full 90 minutes, and I think the commentator said something about that those 5 members of staff completely for the whole set, for the whole club. Is that, obviously, I'm not trying to compare it to other League One clubs because Birmingham here and that, but are we, I mean, the media guys, everyone did an amazing job, but in terms of, going forward, are you looking to improve in any areas, or obviously you're going to take on media duties as well, and podcasts are really good, by the way, and really informative.
Thank you.
But do you think realistically you need to add to it?
Realistically, do we need to bring more help and hands to what we're trying to accomplish long term? Of course, there's a process in us prioritizing roles and goals and achieving them. I think how many times did you watch back Wembley?
I watched the 15-minute highlight before
There you go.
I'm not ashamed to admit that.
That's fine. I've watched it more than once as well. When they alluded to 5, that was actually that was incorrect and kind of disrespectful of the fact that there's a lot more than 5 people that help this club run. if it's like the 5 that you see sitting in the hospitality suite, like Harry and Tom, and like there's like general faces that people recognize, and maybe that's closer to 5, or they're the 5 that can answer a lot of the questions a lot of the times that people have. I would just say, obviously Ben and I, now adding to that, are here full time to help where we can and try to improve things and be additive and try to take some of the mundane, minor things off of the hands of some of the other staff so that they can grow and start working on other projects or other things that we need. So do we want to add to it? Of course, and build and grow, and that's part of our vision for sure. But it's more than 5 people that are helping the club go, for sure. When they referenced that, it just wasn't very accurate.
In terms of like the volunteering side of things, I think there's a massive group of people. I help out in the last, like Johnson chance to help out. I used to do it 12, 15 years ago. And when Ben and I would come back, it was a no-brainer. I'm sure, I'm not saying everyone's doing different things, but if you put something out there, whether it's voluntary or temporary, I'm pretty sure you get a very good response. Whether it's from a certain side or whatever.
Yeah, we have some great volunteers who help regularly. All the kits this year were printed by a volunteer. There are folks who host in hospitality as volunteers. It's an important part of how this club runs, and I think we need to find more opportunities. I can't remember the club. I read maybe this morning or yesterday that they did to clean up the stadium. Was it Barrow? Could it have been Barrow? Or was it a team that was playing Barrow? And either way, they had a resounding success last year with hundreds of folks come out to help get the stadium set for the year. And I think that's wonderful, and I think we should find opportunities to have people come and help out, because the 5 full-time staff here who are on the ground every day can't do it all by themselves. So we'd love to chat about ideas and things that you found impactful and helpful over your time.
Hi. If you take away electronic knowledge going through the internet or something like that, there's only one way in Crawley that you can find out if there's a game on. And that's you drive past the board outside by the roundabout. There are 2 places in Crawley that you can never get a car parking space in because they're totally full up all day, every day. It's County Oak, and the other place is, what's the place called where the new cinema is? Yeah, where Crawley Town Football Club used to be. If you put a fixture board up in those 2, I don't have the data behind me to be able to do it, but you would be giving the information for every game in advance to tens of thousands of people every day driving by. Just sponsoring those 2 roundabouts and putting a sign up in the middle of it, like every roundabout in Crawley is sponsored. If you could sponsor those 2 roundabouts, the revenue stream would be self-financing, and you'd be ended up turning people away.
I love that idea, thank you.
On that, there's another thing that strikes me, that Metro buses also have visual videos on their thing, advertising. They might be advertising for drivers, they might be advertising for local companies and stuff like that. But I know you can access that to advertise your own thing, and it can't be expensive. Surely it can't be expensive. And to be that visual, a local bus service meets what this chap was talking about as well. I agree with him that to be visual in these multiplexes or these huge places, the Mall indeed, that they also have big screens up advertising, local events and stuff like that. We ought to be in there. We need to be more visual in the town centre.
And these are great ideas and places that I haven't necessarily visited yet. So to hear these names, I'll remember them, and we'll look into what it would take. Thank you for the suggestion.
I was going back to that chap's comment, particularly in the cinema, because on a Friday night people go have a bite to eat, a meal, whatever, in the cinema. Oh, Crawley plays tomorrow, I've got nothing else going on, I'll go there. It's a perfect location, because that's where people are drawn to on the weekend in particular. So that's
Leisure
particularly
Park,
valid.
right?
Yeah, Leisure Park, yeah. In particular, that's particularly valid, I think, because it is like before game. Oh, that's what's going on tomorrow, have a look.
One more. I was perplexed, and I don't know if everybody else was, after the launching of the season tickets, when we could come down and sign up that first day, and there was a queue from here to Birmingham to get in, and there was a wonderful opportunity to buy apparel there, piled 4 feet high on 237 different tables in every size you can imagine. Why was it all left at the end of the season? Why wasn't it all sold during the season? Why wasn't it being pushed and publicised? There was mountains of stuff, and it all went, fair play, but it just, if that had been done 6 months earlier, I mean, the new season is, I went to Ebbsfleet on Saturday, and I don't know why. I hate Gravesend, okay? It's awful. The pitch is awful, the stadium's awful. I'm just sick and tired of having no football. I drove all the way up there, got stuck in the traffic as well. I'm absolutely insanely looking forward to Saturday. And I want to buy a shirt, I'm not here. And I want to buy a scarf, and I want to buy a bucket hat, because they're really trendy at the moment. I can't get them anyway. Why do we always seem to be, and there's probably a very good reason for it, why do we, as Crawley Town Football Club, not just this year, not last year, but every year, we seem to be reactive about the fans wanting to buy, for the want of a better phrase, stuff. Christmas, same thing. What are you going to get? My lad lives in Australia. I'm going to get him some stuff and send him over there. It's always sold out. You can get a pencil, or a scarf that's got something else written on it from 3 years ago. We always seem to be reactive. Everybody knows at Christmas, everybody's going to want to buy at least one thing. And at the beginning of the season, everybody's going to want to buy at least one thing. Saturday, I'll be very happy to hold my hand up and say I was wrong, but I don't think much of it will be here. And Christmas, I'm looking at Preston now, I don't think much of it will be here. We should be in front of this, not behind it.
Are you looking at Preston because he looks like Santa Claus?
I was looking at Harry because we were strategizing on what to do Saturday, but anyway, there was an interesting thought because if everything was actually here Thursday, should we put everything up by Saturday, or should we feature the home kit Saturday and then drip everything else and have like features around all these other items? And
if I'm honest with you, I think you did the kits well last year.
Okay.
But I'm not specifically talking about kit. I'm nearly 61 and I haven't got the physique to be wearing one of the shirts anyway, so I won't be buying one. What can I buy on Saturday?
Harry wants to respond.
No, I think that we are firmly proactive, believe it or not, in terms of retail and stuff like that. So Adidas killed us in terms of delivery. We changed to Araya. The Rentokil sponsor, when did that come from? Like, yeah, quite late. So by the time you get that on there, that's what pushed it back. I will touch wood. Saturday when you come in for the game, you'll be able to buy the home kit. In fact, it'll be in there. The sale day up here was years. What time did you come in today?
I don't know. I queued up at about 9 o'clock in the morning. I got in here about 4, I think.
Yeah. We were getting rid of last year's kit, year before's kit, stuff we found at the bottom of the cupboard. It was we're moving to Araya, let's clear out. It was like a car boot sale. We had to clear everything out.
But nothing you saw that was on sale wasn't on sale before. That wasn't like a new range that we were just getting rid of on the last day. Everything that we had out on the tables would have been available. We just had that much stock left.
There was also a bulk of player stuff that was left over. So 2 years ago we had 40, 50 players registered. So when you do the kit order for the following year, you've got to account for a similar amount of players. We naturally had less. We've got 10, 15 less players, and imagine how many items of kit every single individual player goes through over the course of the season. That then all ended up inside it. People would have come away wearing
So a free Joe Kesselheimer shirt.
all sorts going on. There was the leisure wear with the Wembley fixture print on. That wasn't obviously clutch or branded. That's just ones that we found that were left over or players didn't wear over the Wembley weekend. So I think yes, there's certain
situations where you have to be reactive, but we are constantly proactive, particularly with getting things out to you as quick as possible. I know Preston just said you put everything out this weekend. We actually sat this morning. We think we should try and get as many people in the home kit first. Before then we open it up and we actually go first we get into a home, let's get everyone in the home kit. We then go away. We'll start getting in the away in the third kit. When we get to Christmas, we start getting the coats out. You kind of build and progress it through the year. If we drop everything as soon as we've got it, it kind of gets stale quite quickly.
What about giving an option? I won't wear a football shirt. I'm not going to wear a football shirt. You're not wearing a football shirt now. Okay? Tom's not wearing a football shirt now. Okay? I want an opportunity to display the club that I like. I got this in Pisa Football Club 3 weeks ago. Okay? I want the opportunity to have a T-shirt or Fred Perry or something like that, or a sweater or something like that. I don't want to wear something that's made of nylon that's going to make me too bloody hot behind the goal and everything like that. So it's just about having an option for other people. I agree with what you say about the home kit. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Wembley was a good example of how quickly we've established we can turn around merchandise if we need to. We obviously got through to the final on Saturday night. The squad was travelling on a Friday morning the following week, and by the time everyone was walking down Wembley Way, there were probably over 5,000 worth of teas that had been made that week.
Came out very quickly.
Yeah, and it was really good as well. So heads up to.
So we're still talking. That was 2 months ago, the last game of the season. So I think by the time you get through this season, we've probably proven that we can turn stuff around a bit quicker, and maybe a little bit different if you don't just want football stuff to work.
About baseball hats, last time we didn't have.
There's hats. I've seen the hats. There are hats.
On the bucket hats.
I think that's the actual value of one cat. Nothing else.
Not prove a point though, that because we've got a big event on, that you can get the merchandise out quicker. Why does it have to be a big event to get it out?
Sometimes it takes you to nudge that really good.
But for the last couple of seasons, probably longer than that, as long as I can remember, other clubs have their shirts out end of July. If there's a problem or a lapse with the ordering, they've got a month grace to get it out. We don't. So when it's now sale, people aren't having the home shirts for the first game.
No, I personally would disagree on the basis that since COVID, a lot of clubs have been crippled in terms of, and Brexit, in terms of if we get stuff that's stuck here, clubs all over the country having that issue. I think even Notts County at the moment this week haven't released their away kit yet.
They've got their home kit.
Well, the home kit.
Getting it for sale or not.
Let's talk. Like I said, we physically couldn't put our kit out on sale because we had to get the front shirts once we signed off. That naturally came a bit late. It was a really big deal. Do you? Which way do you leave?
Maybe what I'm saying is that the deal should have been done earlier. Maybe it should have been brought back. Do you know what I mean? Like after thinking, oh actually, we need someone. Like okay, we've got to get it rushed through. Why rush it?
That's just my fault. I'll take the blame for it. We could have done a deal earlier, possibly. We didn't, and that's just on me. Those guys over there are doing their best for sure. I promise.
So here are the takeaways from this discussion.
To hear, Harry was your name? Very refreshing to hear him speak so passionately about it and about the wins that we've made and the learnings that we've had. WAGMI, since the day they arrived here, have made some horrendous mistakes, okay, and learned by it and moved forward and taken things on and evolved. And it sounds like that the merch is going to be exactly the same, and that's very refreshing.
So the things that I take away from this conversation are that, one, we're going to have home kit on sale for Blackpool. Everything goes according to plan, which is great. The second thing is that our fan base wants merchandise and wants gear, which is wonderful, because like I said before, I love that stuff and I want you all to wear it. The third thing is that our team did an amazing job turning out however many pieces, thousands of pieces and 1,000 pounds of merchandise for Wembley, and we learned something there, and we hope to do that again. Whether that's, if our new signings become stars and we have t-shirts with their faces on it, or other things that we can put out for Christmas or before, we now know how to do that. And we know that there's an interest in a better club shop experience, which can help improve a lot of this. But you know, this is a type of situation where we're all trying to do the same thing. The club is trying to sell more merchandise because we want everyone to feel like they're supporting the club, and everyone wants to buy more merchandise so they can support the club and show the colors. So we're all moving in the same direction on this. It's just about finding the right ways to do it with our resources, our time, our real estate here, you know, the space we have. And ideas on merchandise that you haven't seen or things that you want to buy for your family for Christmas or before. We want to hear those ideas because we want to be able to create merchandise and products that you all want.
What about in the States? What about the products out there? You go to Florida, you can get a Chicago Bears sweatshirt, anything. Now that's your part of the world. How do they do it? Sell their merchandise.
Anybody want to mention the Cincinnati Reds and their logo?
Are you the Milwaukee Brewers fan?
Yeah.
That just reminded me. Yeah, that's so random.
So Cincinnati Reds is made for us.
That is interesting.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I'm trying to think if I know anyone. We know. Oh, I know the Driveline guys.
I know King Griffey Jr. used to play.
For the one of those of you, and I don't know why you don't all follow baseball, Cincinnati Reds logo is a big white C, which is like pull the one end, so it's like slightly narrowed, and then they write Reds in white. So it's a red shirt with a big white C with Reds written in the middle of it. End of discussion.
No, that's an interesting one. There's people that work in their pitching department there and analytical department I can reach out to, but that's interesting. To answer the actual question here, the Bears have millions and millions and millions of fans. That's why they sell a Bears jumper in Florida, but that's the ultimate answer. So we can try to get there one day, but that's why they are allowed to get away with it, because people buy it no matter, you know, there's people from Chicago or Illinois that live in Florida, and it just crosses over. And the NFL is the biggest sport in America. So, yeah. I think Chicago's the third biggest market. Yeah. Anyways, anything else? Yeah.
Are you moving any further forward with the stadium sponsor? I understand one was turned down because it wasn't suitable, but one you've gone further with that.
That's part of why Ben is here, but also something that I think from my perspective, we want the fit to be right and we want the price to be right. And obviously now at a higher level in League One, the suitor I think that you're referencing to before didn't fall in line with what our kind of standard would be. So that's where I'm at. Ben might have further context on some of the details or opportunities that are currently available.
We've started speaking to companies to potentially sponsor. It's obviously the biggest asset we have other than front of kit. And it'd be great to have a naming rights partner, but it won't just be anyone at any value or any brand from any industry either. We need the right partner. And hopefully we want someone who is connected to the local community. I mean, Rent-A-Kill is a great partner. They're here. They're a big company, so they're recognized not just throughout the country, but globally. And they want to dig in on the club's journey and support the community foundation as well. So we're looking for the right partner, and hopefully we find them soon, but I'm going to be knocking on doors and calling people, and if anyone in this room has connections to people who are work at companies or know people who would be interested, and that's one way to support the club, is to try to connect us.
A few years ago, we had a massive campaign we targeted, I don't know what year group it was at primary school, but we rolled out free kits for everyone. Now, I'm not saying we need to do that again because that must cost an arm and a leg. But do we have any plans to, I could be just chatting out over here because we might already be doing it, I don't know the story. But are we targeting schools again? Are we trying to get youngsters? I mean, the fact that they don't have to pay, I think is amazing. Are we sort of giving free tickets out? Is there a plan for these guys?
So I know the foundation gives a lot of tickets out in the schools that they work in, and they're really sort of a marketing arm for us in that regard. There's also been some talk, and thanks to Sam Jordan for raising this idea, about junior reds.
That's how I started.
Right.
So the man in white talking to was actually the man that brought me here 20 years ago, my first game.
We did the whole season as ball boys as well, didn't you?
Yeah. And I was a ball boy back then and became a junior red. And people that came to Wembley that hadn't been for 10 years dug out their old junior red scarf. that was a massive thing back in the day. And we were crap at it, so imagine what we like now.
Well, we'd love to find a way to bring that back. We'd love to find the right partner and sponsor to do that. The family section in the East Stand is another thing that can go with that. So I'm excited to bring a program back that encourages more kids and their families to come.
It was great to see all the fans at the training session this morning. Is that something that's going to be repeated? And thank you to Scott and the players for this time.
Will it be repeated? It's difficult on a couple levels. The first is from a football side. They need some privacy throughout the season.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean throughout the season, I meant like next season at the start, like you say.
Oh, likely.
I heard once upon a time it's kind of an unofficial rule that you do it once a season if you can. So that's definitely in the plans. I think going forward, it's a good experience. There's not much downside. Doing it regularly throughout a season, not so much. But yeah, I think that will be a yearly thing. Yeah.
Just one more for you, Preston. So last season we was written up relegation favourites, but we made Wembley. This season we're written up as relegation favourites. Shall we start putting off May now? Just going on contest.
I think
it'd be nice.
if I speak a little nerdy for a second, I think before last season, right before the first kickoff, we were in the betting markets, we were like 40% to get relegated. Right now it's close to 50-50. So it's actually an even higher chance than last year, even though last year people were very wrong. Obviously, we should have our hopes high, but also realistic. It would be insane if we somehow pulled that off, to be honest. I wouldn't even know what to say.
That's what we were all thinking this time last year.
Exactly. Can I be honest with you guys about one thing? Like I said, like League One's going to be very, very hard. And I think that's what drove me to be here, is because I wanted to give us the best chance. In some aspect, I think that'll mean success. And sometimes it might not. But I needed to give it my best shot for all of you and for our ownership group. But the truth is, last year when everyone said we were going down, and the betting market said we were going down like 40%, we were going to finish 24th out of 24. Our internal projection and model had us finishing, on average, a range of like 9th to 11th. We were pretty certain everyone was wrong. This summer it is different. There's a lot more uncertainty because we don't know how to directly measure and quantify when everyone else is spending over double what you are, or sometimes even more. And the level of jump is obviously significant on the pitch and everything else that attaches to it. So for us, I don't think we can confidently say, oh, this is where we expect to be. Last season, that 9th to 11th pocket, like we even overachieved from there a little bit. And that's what's interesting about ranges is if 9th to 11th was right on average, it means sometimes you're going to finish 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, right? And so we got 7th and then we went on a run, and it was a great experience. If you were to ask me for a pocket at this very moment, I wouldn't be confidently saying 9th to 11th in League One, obviously. And I don't think I could confidently give you a range because last summer was just like a different context. And so it's really been interesting, but also is what makes it difficult. And we're just going to try to provide Scott and the staff as much talent as we possibly can to find the right answers and push the right buttons. And
obviously we're Ben Blackburn now in the coaching role.
Yeah.
When Scott's going to announce a new club captain. Because that hasn't been announced yet, has it?
I'm not sure if Sam has a plan on the content media side.
Yeah,
This week. Wait, should we have a vote right now and just see? Can I turn this mic off, or is there any last second questions? Anybody?
One quick question actually. Obviously, with all the change in personnel, obviously one of the concerns a lot of fans are, would Scott be satisfied or happy or content? Obviously, you can't say too much, but is he content where we are, or is he bloody like cursing underneath all this and outwardly projecting the right image?
You want to call him and ask? We'll say, hey, you're live on YouTube.
Well, generally, I'm interested to know generally how he feels in terms of, obviously his team's been dismantled through no fault of his own, understand the things. Nonetheless, he's got to start again. It must be quite galling, I thought. So, is his head in the right place?
I can honestly say the one thing that Scott is great at is his confidence and his belief in his system, the way he coaches, the way he plays the game, and his staff and what they can bring to the table to aid him. And there hasn't been, and I'm being truthfully honest, any sort of outburst my way on the state of the situation or this or that. He's obviously been keen to understand why certain things happen versus others, and like we've kept him, part of that process throughout the summer. And even 2 days ago, Saturday night after the Ebbsfleet match, I was on the phone with him for 44 minutes and 56 seconds talking over some recruiting strategy for the next week or two before the season gets underway. And then following that, he was on the phone with Tobias, who we've referenced before, is helping with some of the recruiting and consulting there, and they were on the phone, I think it was over an hour. So he's ingrained, and he was looking at film yesterday of a player that we've targeted that we really would like to bring in, and he gave us the okay. He says, thinks he looks good. So he's really good at staying positive and being confident, because that's just what ultimately was one of the reasons we had success last year, is everyone bought into what he preaches, and his attitude and aura is just like absolutely like we're the underdog, and embraces it. Good, cool. Thank you, everybody.